Hello besties and welcome back to my channel. My name is Daphne if you're new here, and I'm so excited because today we're talking about one of my favorite TV shows. It's a comfort show of mine, and the TV show that I'm talking about is actually The Girls Next Door. The show premiered in 2005, actually on August 7th, 2005, and it's still one of the most relevant shows from that era today. There has been very much a trend with Y2K pop culture, with like the Simple Life coming back around and being relevant. This show also, like a lot of, I would say, the Of Love franchises, like Rock of Love, Flavor of Love, like kind of those type of TV shows as well, which I just realized are all like reality TV shows, so I guess that kind of makes sense. Since Holly and Bridget, which were two of the main stars of Girls Next Door, they actually started a podcast called The Girls Next Level, where they've been going into each episode, and as a Girls Next Door fan, it has been so exciting hearing all their tales and hearing all the behind the scenes stuff about it. So if after you're done and watching this video, and if you're still interested about more about the lives, about living in the Playboy Mansion, about being a girlfriend of Hugh Hefner, or just what it's like being on reality TV, I'll link it down below. It is so incredible. Here we go. So like I mentioned, the show actually started on August 7th in 2005 and premiered on the E! Network. The series follows Hef's three main girlfriends at the time: Holly, who was the main girlfriend, Bridget, and Kendra. I have almost all of the season box sets on DVD. These were actually original from when they first came out. I'm just going to be talking, actually, full kind of disclaimer, I'm just going to be talking about seasons 1 through 5, specifically because that's the cast that is Holly, Bridget, and Kendra. The last season, season 6, does have a new set of girlfriends, and I've actually never seen that season before. I've only seen seasons 1 through 5, and to me, that is The Girls Next Door. If you did watch season 6, let me know your thoughts down below, and maybe one day I will actually check it out. But for now, we're just talking about seasons 1 through 5. So the show was created by Kevin Burns and Hugh Hefner, who is the founder and editor of Playboy magazine. Which is so funny, I have a Playboy sticker right here, and I should actually show, I have the Girls Next Door sticker from season 1 also. Oh, and ironically, the Simple Life sticker also. So if you see that there, it's very on theme for this for this video. It was actually, the show was so popular that there was, once the series ended for these three girls, they actually got their own spin-off episodes, which were Kendra, Bridget's Sexiest Beaches, and Holly's World. Kevin Burns, like I said, one of the executive producers of the show, he says that he would have been an idiot not to make a good show out of people living at the mansion. He admitted that the original idea was actually a completely different kind of take on living there, living at the mansion. YouTube is actually a little bit wary about certain words, so I'm going to try to avoid saying Playboy as much. So if I kind of refer to it just as the business or just as the mansion, that is why. It's not a word that YouTube likes so much. So he said that the original idea for the reality show about the mansion would have been the notion of Hefner raising his sons with his estranged wife, who actually lives next door to the mansion as well, and it would be him going to PTA meetings and helping out with his kids and with their homework, he explained. He said when he proposed the idea to Mr. Hefner, he was not excited about it. He said that that is the dumbest idea and no one would want to watch a show and he doesn't go to PTA meetings. He said people want to see his real life. So they filmed actually a 22-minute pilot episode called Hef's World, but the decision was actually made later on to actually focus on the three main women of the creator's life that live in the mansion. And so that is where we got the show following Holly, Bridget, and Kendra. There was actually an interview that one of the producers, I think, of the show was actually doing with Holly, and she had a quote about kind of her aesthetic, about the blonde hair and everything, and from that quote, he actually decided to create the show about the girls. There was another idea about kind of making the show about the staff at the mansion and what they go through, but once he interviewed the three girlfriends, he decided that they would be the perfect ones to create the show about, and I'm so excited about it because I've watched the show so many times. I will go into some of my favorite episodes later. So a lot of what I will be referencing is, of course, from the TV series. I will also be referencing a lot from Holly Madison's books as well, mainly from Down the Rabbit Hole. She does have a second book that is about Vegas, that's called The Vegas Diaries, but for this one I will just be referencing a lot of passages from from her book. It says, The Curious Adventures and Cautionary Tales of a Former Playboy Bunny. And it's a really, really good book. Highly suggest people read it. It's a really fun read. I highly, highly suggest it. Back to it. So the reality TV series of 5 seasons, even as they ended their relationship with Hef, moved out of the mansion and started their post lives away from living there and away from kind of the brand and the business as well. A 6th and a final season, meanwhile, shift the focus on to Hef's new trio of girlfriends and his eventual wife, Crystal Harris, and with the twins, Christina and Carissa Shannon. So like I said, I have not seen that. I've not seen the 6th season. Like I said, these girls, even just now following them on social media, like they just have like the best and genuine personalities. I love following Holly. I related to her the most on the series, and still in real life, she's a huge Disney fan, and I love seeing her adventures and her vlogs from Disney World. It is so cool seeing them because she is like, she does VIP, like she does like all the ultimate tours and everything, and like seeing like all of her like DVC stays are just really, really cool. Bridget is into horror like a lot also, and I've always wanted to meet her like Monster Palooza or see her at like Halloween Horror Nights or something. And it's just been really cool seeing like Kendra's adventure as like a mom on Instagram, and like kind of her new venture kind of like into like selling houses and realty and everything is really, really interesting. So even after the show, it's been really fun following their post lives also. One of the reasons why I love the show so much is because it really had this kind of sorority life feel. Everything was so bright and colorful, and it wasn't, there very much was like this kind of like, I guess, dichotomy with them living at the mansion and kind of what the business is all about with like the kind of photos that they feature and kind of what the magazine is known for. But the show is like, it's so just fun seeing like the episodes are themed kind of like around their pets, or like all the different parties that they go to, or just kind of like they said, like their antics throughout the series, and just seeing their personalities come through, seeing all their different magazine covers that they've done. The show isn't like a hard-hitting like documentary or anything. It's very much just kind of, like I said, like it's a comfort show. It's just a lot of fun. So I was just really excited to like talk about it, and I just personally haven't seen any kind of content about going into like the history about the girls, about how they got started on the show, and about their time on the show and their time after. So here we are. There's also a very strong opinion about, of course, the brand and about persona of the lifestyle that Hugh Hefner kind of lived also, with the show being about his 3 girlfriends. Like normally there's just one relationship, and so of course it's like very interesting in that scope, but it really did just feel like a show of like them living in a sorority. I don't know, it was a lot of fun. Like of course like Hef was featured on the show, but it was very much put in the scope of this kind of like grandfatherly kind of thing. I don't know, like it didn't seem weird, the relationship with them. Like I did watch a show when I was young, and so I guess it didn't register that was weird, but I just didn't really get all the controversy behind it as a child. And very much when they talk about their experience now, how tough it was being one of 3 women, or even Holly mentions like even being the main girlfriend, like there's still a lot to live up to in Hef's eyes, society's eyes as well, because you're not always seen as an individual person, you're seen as like a trio of blondes. Or when Holly actually and Bridget first started becoming involved with Hef, they were actually one of 7 girlfriends, so he actually downsized quite a bit to just 3.
It's an unexplainable experience on how many lives we've affected and how people look up to us as role models. It used to be, oh, Hef and some blonde beauties or whatever, and now it's like Hef, Holly, Bridget, and Kendra. People know who we are, and we're not just a blonde chick. We're people now.
He was dating 7 at the time, which is crazy. Again, some more of that later about how they got started and how they moved into the mansion and how they started dating Hef. But if you aren't too familiar about kind of the history of him and kind of about the company, he actually published the first episode of the magazine in December of 1953, which actually featured a full centerfold of Marilyn Monroe. The magazine was a near instant success, with all of the copies, which were near 54,000 copies at the time, sold out in just a few weeks. After the success of the magazine, and with it being started in Chicago, there was something called Playboy East and then Playboy West. And so there was the original mansion in Chicago that isn't there anymore, but also Hef needed one in LA since he was doing a lot of work here as well. And one of his girlfriends at the time, Barbie Benton, in the 70s, actually stumbled upon the mansion. It was actually abandoned, and she hopped the fence and saw the property, saw how gorgeous it was, and told Hef about it. And then we got the mansion that now it is, or was, not so much anymore because now it is owned by someone else, but the mansion that it was, the infamous place, is located in Holmby Hills, Los Angeles, which is near Beverly Hills. The mansion has 22 rooms with a theater room, a built-in pipe organ, a game room, 3 zoo buildings, a tennis court, a basketball court, a waterfall, a swimming pool area, a basement gym with a sauna, a bathhouse, and much more. Also the famous grotto as well. One thing I found fascinating that I didn't know that I actually learned from Holly's book is that he actually didn't own the mansion. It was actually owned by the corporation. So Hef had to pay rent on all of the rooms that were occupied. So the rooms that his girlfriends lived, the room that he lived in. So in 2004, Hef was paying about $25,000 in rent a month for the master suite. Just the master suite, just the one that he's living in. It was $25,000 a month, and then which was the room that him and Holly shared, his main girlfriend. The room that Kendra had was $12,000 per month, and the room that Bridget had was $10,000 per month. So 25,000, 12,000, so 37,000. So he's paying about $47,000 in rent per month just for 3 bedrooms. There also are 3 smaller rooms that were between $5,000 and $7,000 per month, but if they weren't rented out, then he didn't have to pay for them. So I just thought that was rather interesting. He also bought the mansion for $1.1 million in 1971, and the mansion actually had a staff at the time around 70 people, including butlers, chefs, groundkeepers, maintenance, security, and zookeepers. And in January of 2016, the mansion actually went up for sale for the asking price of $200 million, with the terms that Hef could continue to rent the mansion for the rest of his life. So that's a little bit about the Hef and the mansion, because I feel like as much as the girls are the main characters, I feel like the setting is very much a main character in itself as well, with all of the history that it has, and just the look of it, and just all the stories that have come out from there, and also how prominent the parties are, which is something that, if you might not be aware of, is at the time getting invited up to the mansion for the midsummer party, for a Halloween party, for a birthday party, for literally any kind of party was so exclusive and like one of the coolest places ever to visit, especially during that time when we all didn't have like cell phones or anything, and you couldn't even bring a camera into any of the parties. So there were a lot of celebrities there, like all A-list celebrities. So it'd been really, really exciting to visit. So the parties were just so well known also. So right now I'm going to go to the background of all of the 3 girlfriends and how they met Hef, how they got started dating him, how they got started the company, and just a little bit about like their personalities as well. So I'm going to go in order of how they met Hef, and so I'm going to start with Holly Madison. Holly was from Alaska, and then she lived in Oregon for some time as well before moving to LA. Holly had actually tried out for the 1999 Millennium Playmate Search for 2000. She moved to LA to pursue acting, and then transferred from Oregon to a college in LA as well. She didn't actually get a call back for the Playboy for the Millennium Search, but at this time she was working as a model. She was also working at Hooters, which she had a lot of fun working at and talked about being such a fun job also. She actually continued to keep her job even as she later moved into the mansion, which I thought was cool. She really liked having that connection and just being able to go make her own money as well. Kind of like stigma, or very much kind of a perception of the women that have lived there, is that they all are like gold diggers, which isn't true for all of them.
I think there's 2 main adjectives that people think when they see us: bimbo and slut. Ow! The reality is I am not a gold digger. I'm not a hoe. I never even thought about having a multi-millionaire boyfriend, you know?
There's definitely some up there that are there for the money and for the gifts and literally just for a free place to stay. And then there are other women, which I think is really important, and why these 3 women in particular shown through so much is that they weren't there for that. They all are really intelligent. Bridget actually was studying as her master's degree. She was actually studying to get her PhD on the show, which was really cool. Holly was in real estate school. Kendra went through real estate school as well, and she's currently selling houses. They're all just really, really smart women and really genuine and just down to earth. They all came from pretty like humble backgrounds as well. And so there isn't anything like pretentious about them. And they weren't just like spoiled or just there just for like the like clout of living there or anything. Like they were working. Kendra was going to massage school at the time of the show. And that was kind of, they showed that in very much of the first season. They were constantly doing things around the mansion. Bridget and Holly were also giving tours around the mansion as well, which was really cool. So they were making a lot of use of their time. They weren't just lazy or just hanging around or just spending money just to spend it or anything. I don't know, I just want to get that out of the way because that very much is a perception, but in this case it is very much not true, so I just wanted to get there off the bat. So as I was saying, she transferred from Oregon to LA and was taking acting classes, and she was modeling for Hawaiian Tropic. She was also a waitress, and she was a full-time student as well. During this time, she actually got invited to a party at the mansion when she was modeling for Hawaiian Tropics. And after her first time being at the mansion, she said hi to Hef, and she actually started becoming a regular at the mansion because she began getting invited back a lot to the parties. And she said that what she really enjoyed about being there, one of the parties that happened on Sunday, which are called Fun in the Sun parties. So they're very much like hang out by the pool, like kind of like barbecue, like very much like chill days. She really enjoyed those, and she really got to know the girls the 7 girlfriends at the time that were living at the mansion and just other playmates, and she really got to know Hef as well. She said that she really liked the wholesome environment of the mansion, and she was actually really surprised by that also. She said it felt very much just like a huge family. Mentions in her book as someone who kind of has like some anxieties about stuff, that having this like family environment and kind of being invited in, especially moving also from like another state into LA, and LA isn't the most like it's kind of hard to like build a family kind of base here, being from far away. So just kind of already being welcomed into that was very, very inviting. And she really just loved the people. Also, she was having a great time. So that was very much a sorority environment around the mansion as well. She really, really enjoyed that. And it definitely came through on the show for the 3 girlfriends, for Holly, Bridget, and Kendra. Just their personalities and their chemistry and charisma and how they bounce off each other definitely was like what made the show as successful as it was. Holly actually recounted that one night she went out with Hef and the girlfriends. She expected the night out kind of with all of them to be kind of more like a first date kind of vibe, even though it's amongst like with 7 girlfriends, but it just kind of be more kind of that, and versus how the end of the night she felt like Hef was literally pushed on top of her. And at the time, she talks about, actually in her book, she said that when she first got up there, she felt she was very thrown into kind of what happened with Hef and what happened with the 7 other girlfriends that night. She said that at the time, she was also going through a transition with her apartment where she's going to be moving out. So she was pretty unsure about where her next place was going to be at the time. So she actually asked Hef if maybe she could move in. She knew that there was an extra room and there might be a spot open for her as a girlfriend. So she figured at least for the interim, this would be a really like nice spot to like live, of course. And also it would help free up that stress of not knowing where you might move next, especially in LA. It's very much a relieving thought to be able to live somewhere, even just like for a year. She wasn't expecting to live there long term or anything at first. And then very much all these other really incredible opportunities that I'm sure weren't even fathomable at the time. She said that after she talked to Hef actually the next morning about moving in, and she told him about her situation, and Hef actually said that they would see how it worked, and he invited her to move in. Eventually, she did become Hef's main girlfriend. She really enjoyed hanging out with him and enjoyed his company. She found him very charming. She was into a lot of the same things he was as well, like old Hollywood, and they were into similar music and movies and had very much common interests that way. She also really enjoyed his friends as well. She thought they were really fun. So she didn't mind hanging out for like the Wednesday night buffets that they talk about, where they'd have a buffet every week and Hef's friends would come over. She didn't mind staying in for the movie nights and watching old movies with them. And so a lot of the other girlfriends who weren't into those things and kind of were more there for just kind of the the location of living there and kind of the title of being Hef's girlfriend, they kind of more pushed her into being the main girlfriend so they could kind of go off and do whatever they wanted. So she kind of became Hef's main girlfriend rather quickly. And then she moved into the main bedroom.
There are always the same 5 questions everybody wants to ask me. Are you in the magazine? How many girls live at the mansion? Does he pay you? Do you have sex with him? That's a big one. We do everything a normal boyfriend and girlfriend do. And like if I could get married and have kids tomorrow, I totally would. This is it for me. This is where I am and this is where I'm going to stay.
She also said that she didn't mind 9 p.m. curfew is implemented at the mansion at first, said she wasn't really the type to go out clubbing anyways, and she also stated that she found Hef's friends genuinely interesting and nice to be around. So that's also a little known fact about living at the mansion, is that all of the girlfriends had a 9 p.m. curfew, and that didn't matter no matter what. We actually see it very much in the first season of The Girls Next Door, where they travel to Vegas, they travel to Lodi, they travel to San Diego, and within all of these, they leave in the morning and they have to be back at 9 p.m. at night, no matter what. The Vegas one, that was very interesting to see because they had to fly to Vegas and fly back, so they're really only there for like 6 hours, I think, or something. So they had a very strict 9 p.m. curfew. And at first, she didn't really mind that. She wasn't really the type to go out clubbing anyway, so it didn't really affect her that much. She did notice, however, more of Hef's control around the house and around with the other girlfriends. She did state that once he flipped out on her after she cut her hair short. She stated that she was kind of in a, like at that time amongst 6 other girlfriends since she was the 7th, that being around them, all of them have long blonde hair, and that she actually cut her hair short kind of in a Marilyn Monroe-esque kind of look, and that he actually freaked out on her and told her that it made her look old, hard, and cheap. She did it to resemble Marilyn and to kind of stand out. So that was kind of an instance where she started to see a different side of Hef as well, a little bit of a scarier side that she wasn't used to when she first started going up there, first kind of hanging out with the other girlfriends and first started seeing Hef. She did a lot of things around the mansion to kind of stay busy. Like I said, she was a student at the time. She was also studying for her real estate license. So during that time, her and Bridget would actually start to give tours that I mentioned around the mansion. Also got to do it in bunny outfits as well. They actually got custom made bunny outfits, which was pretty rare, especially the fact that you weren't able to wear a bunny outfit unless if you were a playmate or if you're a waitress back at one of the clubs back in the day. So that was pretty special for them as well. That is a little bit about Holly and how she got started at the mansion and her background with the magazine as well before becoming Hef's girlfriend, and how she became Hef's girlfriend and kind of what she had going on at life before the TV show. Bridget states that ever since she was a child, she loved the brand and she always wanted to be in the magazine. She actually tried out for the Playboy Millennium Playmate search as well, the same one that Holly did in 1999, but she actually made it through the final, flown out to test with the magazine. She said that that was her first experience ever at the mansion, and she soon made a lot of friends there as well. Bridget has a very bubbly personality, so I could see how she made a lot of friends very quickly while visiting there. She wasn't picked for the final Playmate of the year, but she did get to model and go out there. She was a finalist, which I thought was so cool. At this time, she was commuting between her hometown of Lodi and LA for acting and modeling jobs. Sorry, all my battery died, so I just had to change it out really quick. So if the tripod position moved a little bit, that is why. So back to Bridget. So during that time, she was commuting between Lodi and LA for acting and modeling jobs. She also became a regular at attending a lot of the parties at the mansion as well. And in 2001, moved to LA permanently to fully pursue modeling and different acting roles. She was also studying for her master's degree, broadcast journalism during this time, and also got her PhD on the show later on. In October 2002, after more than a year of being a regular at the mansion, visiting the parties and kind of staying over and living in LA, she was actually invited to move in and to become one of Hef's girlfriends. She said that at the time she was already spending more time at the mansion than at her own place, so it seemed like a pretty obvious choice. And also it was more of Bridget's goal. It was always Bridget's goal to be in the magazine, not so much a girlfriend of Hef. from Holly's book. She describes Bridget as, this girl was like a ray of sunshine compared to all of the other Fun in the Sun guests, which is where they first met before Bridget moved in. And she said it wasn't long before they became best friends, and they still are today. And like I said, they have the podcast together, and it is so incredible, and I love listening to it. I think episodes come out on every Sunday, and right now, like I said, they're still going through the first season, and just hearing them talk about all the behind the scenes, it's so much fun. I love listening to it. Bridget and Holly actually had to put up like the bully culture that unfortunately was going around the mansion at the time between the 5 other girlfriends, not Bridget or Holly, but the 5 other girlfriends, and not all 5. They don't go into specifics of who, and I don't think it's fair to kind of speculate who it was at that time either, since it's been so much time has passed, and I don't think that that would really help anyone. But with the 5 other girlfriends, they said that they had a lot to put up with living at the mansion before Kendra came along. They said that there were a lot of kind of high school mean girl stunts that were pulled to both of them, and that eventually the 5 other girlfriends left due to various reasons, most of them based on their own actions. Then with spots open, Holly and Bridget were hoping to have kind of a little bit more, not like they would definitely have like a say on who Hef's next girlfriend could be, but they kind of, since they've been living there for a while and have been girlfriends for a couple years now, they knew a lot of the playmates and a lot of the girls who were coming up, so they started kind of talking to him a little bit more about who maybe he would be willing to invite in, since they knew that he wouldn't be happy with just 2 girlfriends. So they eventually, Kendra did come along, and her story is really interesting. It's referenced a lot on the TV show. I definitely think they talk about her story the most. I didn't actually know that Bridget tried out for the magazine, or kind of really how she became Hef's girlfriend until the podcast, which I thought was pretty interesting. She mentioned about writing a book as well, and I really hope that she does one day. It would be a really incredible read. That's where she was at her time. Right now, it's just her and Holly, the only 2 girlfriends living at the mansion. Right now, they're having an incredible time. They said it's just like one of the happier times at the mansion of it just being them, and it just felt very stress-free. It felt very drama-free. Said that they're having a great relationship with him, like all was going well. Really looking forward to like kind of this next chapter of living there. So into Kendra. Kendra has put out a book as well, and actually when I go into how she met Hef, I will be using a lot of excerpts from that. I don't have a hard copy of her book, so I'm just gonna be reading off my computer how Kendra became a girlfriend. So this is from her book, Sliding Into Home. She did meet Hef at his 78th birthday party in April of 2004, where she appeared as one of the painted girls. These were women who were fully nude except for an outfit that would be painted onto them. I'd actually seen a photo of her, and he wanted to know who she was. And so this next part, like I said, is from her book. She told her then live-in boyfriend, Zach, that she will be painted, and he asked, what does that mean? And she said she's not sure, but it will be fine. At the very least, she was hoping to make a couple $100s, maybe meet some cool people, and get a chance to check out the mansion, which, like I said, at the time, the parties there were so exclusive, and it was so special to be invited there. So even working there, be able to see all the celebrities would have been so exciting also. So she says that when she gets to the mansion, she got out of the car and that she was immediately escorted to the gym by security. She said that Hef actually came down and said hi to all of the girls. She introduced herself, and she was very excited because she said that she's never met a celebrity before, so she thought it was pretty cool. And she said that the night ended up being a lot of fun. She said that she didn't really like her hair and makeup of the night though. I thought she looked really cute. I thought it looked adorable. Actually, her friend who helped her book the job, he brought a tray of Jello shots to her to take over to Hef's table. So she brought them over, and she smiled and introduced herself. She actually introduced herself to Holly and Bridget, who she didn't know at the time. Said that she thought that maybe she was being paranoid, but she felt like the other girls were giving her dirty looks the whole time, and that she very much wasn't to try to steal their man, as she puts it in the book. She says that at the end of the night, Hef came up to her and gave her a key and asked her to stay the night, but she said that she couldn't, mainly because her boyfriend was waiting outside the mansion in his car to pick her up. And she says that she would see him again soon and gave him back the key, to which that point he asked if she would be his girlfriend, and the only thing she thought to say was okay. She said that that night changed her life. Allegedly, it didn't exactly happen like that. Not like I want to say that like what her book is false, but from other accounts from Holly and Bridget and other women at the time, it didn't exactly happen like that. Holly states in her book that Bridget and her started encouraging Hef to actually invite Kendra to move in. They really liked her. They thought how nice she was, but Hef actually stated that he didn't think that she had a lot of personality. Holly says that she rolls her eyes and says, since when did he care about personality? She says, despite his concerns, he did continue to have her guest, though, at the mansion for a few months. Kendra was still living in San Diego at the time, so Hef invited her to stay a whole weekend and to join us for a big Easter celebration that was happening that Sunday. He says that Bridget and her had gone down to Melrose to pick out some matching outfits for the festivities, and actually included one for Kendra as well, and there's a photo of them in these dresses. She knew that Kendra probably didn't have like a ton of clothes, was probably stressing out on like what to wear, just like her and Bridget both have stressed out about wearing to events before. She said that the Easter ensembles worked, and for about a month after Hef's birthday, Kendra was officially asked to be a girlfriend. So those are some differing stories, just giving you both sides of what I've heard about Kendra moving in. So now that we have all three ladies living in the mansion, how did the show actually get started? So like I said before, that the girls were interviewed, and Kevin Burns decided to make the show based off of them. After interviewing them and gave their personalities, and he's like, I want to see the mansion through these girls' eyes. Nearly 1 million viewers tuned in to watch the premiere episode of Girls Next Door, and a consistent 1.5 million tuned in each Sunday afterwards, which is really funny that the show was, or I find ironic that the show is on a Sunday and the new episodes of Girls Next Level podcast come out on a Sunday. That's pretty cool. While the show was enormously successful, it did of course come with a lot of backlash as well. Holly and Bridget and Kendra were actually asked what they thought of season 1. Holly says that she thinks that the episodes got better as they went. She didn't really like the first 2 episodes, and she didn't like how they were characterized. I, for one, did not get that from Holly at all. Like I said, she was my favorite throughout the show, and I still resonate with her the most. The first 2 episodes, they very much try to put the girls in boxes. So Holly was only supposed to be Hef's girlfriend, and she only cared about Hef. Bridget, they made very much like the brains and beauty, and then Kendra was like the young one. It was like the wild one kind of way. So that's like how they kind of put each of the girls' roles in the show and the characters that they were supposed to play. They relied on that pretty heavily in the first 2 episodes, and as we see later on in the seasons, that they completely break out of those shells, and we get to see them be truly who they are, and they're not put into like kind of those little boxes at all. And we get to see that all of them are smart, all of them have like fun, wild sides to them, and all of them, they do care about Hef, they do care about the brand, and they do care about each other. So they're not all as one-dimensional as they try to put them in the first couple episodes. Season 2 and 3, I think, are definitely like my favorite seasons. The impact of the show was nothing like any of the girls expected, and they actually weren't even paid for their first episode or their first season at all. Kendra actually had to bring this up while they were finishing filming season 1. Kendra asked if they should be kind of getting paid for their work. One of the producers looked at 3 girls and said very firmly that they are replaceable. Even were replaced in season 6. They all left on their own accord. But when they were replaced in season 6, like there was only the one season after season 6. I just don't think that, no offense to the women that were in it, but they just didn't have the same magic that the original trio had. The only time they actually were paid was at the end of episode 2 of season 1. Hef actually says that they're all going to be in the magazine. Holly says that her shock and joy was genuine when Hef revealed that they would be shooting for the magazine. She says that none of them were expecting it, and the reactions shot on camera were absolutely genuine. And she says, I'll give the man this, he knew what made for good TV. Actually got paid $25,000 for the pictorial. At the time though, in 2005 when they shot, it was more about $40,000 to $50,000 for a reality star to be shot. So they were only getting paid about half of what a normal reality TV star, whereas actually former girlfriends of Hef were actually given $100,000 each for their cover, and that was the Bentley twins in years before. And some girls have actually gotten even $1 million for theirs, which actually Drew Barrymore got apparently $1 million for her cover, but each girl was paid $25,000. Then throughout the first season, we actually go to Bridget's hometown in Lodi, which they had to all travel, be back by 9 p.m. p.m. that day. We actually got to celebrate Kendra's 20th birthday. We saw a glimpse into some of the midsummer dream parties, and we got to see them travel to New York and Chicago. I really love the Chicago episode. It's one of my favorites from season 1. They go to the magazine headquarters. They go by Hef's house where he grew up. I really, really enjoy that episode. I think it's really cool just getting some more of the history, which there was even a bunny outside of Hef's house when they were filming, which I thought was really cute also. They end the season with Halloween, where they get to celebrate Bridget's birthday, and she has this really cool murder mystery party. Then they go throughout the season and they celebrate Halloween. We get Bridget's birthday, which was a murder mystery party, which is a really, really cool episode as well. And they actually end the season with the Palms Resort, where Holly is modeling a Roberto Cavalli bunny costume, and she looks absolutely gorgeous. I really love any of the times they go to Vegas as well. The last episode, Holly said, was really, really special to her, being chosen to model the bunny outfit, and like I said, she looks absolutely incredible in it. It was also a really cool moment for her to shine, since Kendra had so many moments in the first season. It kind of felt like they're really pushing this narrative of kind of like a Cinderella moment for her being in the mansion and everything. And we also got to really connect to Bridget emotionally throughout the first season as well. She loves the brand and her being able to model for it, going back to her hometown, and also how her brother served in Iraq. And we also got a really famous makeover episode for her sister Anastasia, so we really got connected through her family, through her just vulnerability that was shown on the show. We also got to meet a lot of Kendra's family on the show as well, and we, like I said, went back to her hometown of San Diego. We also got to celebrate her 20th birthday. We also got to celebrate Bridget's birthday. So this episode, the last episode, we really got to connect to Holly, and we actually didn't get to meet her family, I think, until almost like season 4 or 5. It says in her book, Down the Rabbit Hole, not to burst anyone's bubble, but in order to get the most time and money, producers typically map out the episodes in advance based on schedules and then determine what would make the best potential plot lines. So a reality TV show isn't very much reality at all, and that they would sit down before each season, and the producers and the girls would kind of go over their calendars and what was going on and what would make really good plot points. And that's partly why we didn't get Holly's birthday until a little bit later on, because they don't normally film, I guess, in the kind of winter months. It was more during like the spring to summer, fall-ish kind of timeline. It seemed like that was their filming schedule. Holly's YouTube channel, before she started the podcast, she would talk about how certain scenes were filmed months before and then edited together to make a kind of a themed episode for the show. Like if they had an episode kind of about animals at the mansion, made onto one episode, like the 4th of July episode, like a lot of those things. While the 4th of July party happened at 4th of July, that they actually used some clips from like past years, and they actually used some clips from Bridget and her brother from like a different month as well. Said with filming things of season 2 that things actually got a lot better for the blonde trio, and with the first episode actually being the highest rated episode of the series, it was Hef's 80th birthday, which fittingly the episode was named Happy Birthday Hef. The episode is also the longest episode, running at an hour instead of the normal half-hour episodes that they had. Holly in her recap says that a lot of why this was the highest rated episode had to do a lot of the promotion of the episode. Bridget was actually doing a dance tease for Hef by popping out of a cake, and they used a lot of the clips from the promo, zooming in on that and then zooming in on Bridget's dad's face, who was there while she was practicing the routine. Her family was up around the same time while she was getting ready for the party, so they were using a lot of that. Her routine was so cute. I absolutely loved it. Like, I really enjoyed this episode as well. It was a lot of fun. I definitely see why it was one of the highest rated episodes. Also this season we get the girls' second cover, which is really incredible. They shot another cover for the magazine. We also got Kendra turning 21 in Vegas, which is a really fun episode as well. They also did a trip to Europe during this time as well, so the budget was a lot bigger for season 2 with how successful season 1 was. I continued to Europe for Hef's birthday, so it was really fun watching them go to like Italy and to Paris and to London. Holly mentions that they got to go to Disneyland Paris on this trip, and it would have been really, really cool. Like, I understand why they couldn't film there, but that'd been so cool to see them go around Disneyland Paris. Also, which was really exciting, was they had a lot of auditions this season for new bunnies at the opening of the Playboy Club at the Palms Hotel, which was at the end of the season. The club isn't there anymore, but it was really cool seeing the auditions for the new bunnies and everything. Season 3 is also one of my favorites because we finally got a birthday episode for Holly. So we go through the entire season. We had many birthdays. We get to have Hef's birthday in Vegas and get to see the hotel suite that's finally done. The end of the season goes with the search for the Playmate of the Year and the announcement. That year it was Sarah Underwood, and her acceptance speech always makes me cry. Then in season 4, everyone is pretty comfortable at this point. We do see a lot less of Kendra in this season, and we do find out kind of why in season 5, the final season. We do get to go back to Holly's hometown in Alaska, which is really exciting. We do get to see one thing that's really interesting is kind of the impact that the show has made with the movie House Bunny that Anna Faris actually created while watching The Girls Next Door. So we get to see them film it at the mansion and kind of their involvement with it. I believe we also get to see the premiere of it as well, which that movie was very, very successful also, and I love that film so much. It's very much a comfort movie for me also. Whenever I see mahi mahi on the menu anywhere, I always think of that movie.
It's you guys.
Instead of the mahi mahi, may I just get the one mahi because I'm not that hungry?
Then kind of at the end of the season, we also get Bridget producing kind of a low-budget horror movie, which is so incredible for her. Season 5 is sadly the end. Season actually starts with the renovation of a house that's right across the street from the mansion called the Bunny House, which is for kind of new girls to stay in, and that's where we get to search for the 55th anniversary Playmate, and also, which was kind of at the time found out would have kind of been the audition also for Kendra's replacement at the show, because during that time she was dating her now ex-husband. We get the girls going to the Kentucky Derby, which is a really, really fun episode. That's one of my favorite episodes of season 5. I think it is so cute. A huge event in season 5 is the last magazine cover of all of the girls, and it was the first ever of its kind. There was actually 2 covers that they did during the run of the TV show, which were the first ever of its kind in the magazine history. One was the cover being shot from the back and from the front at the same time. That has never been done before. And then also this cover that was done when you 3 separate covers and we put them all together, they make one cover, and that was really, really cool. Also, it's the only other hour-long episode, and it was called Transitions, which is very appropriately called. While 2 out of the 3 girlfriends are actually moving out, we actually get Bridget moving out as well, because she started her own TV show on the Discovery Channel at the time called Bridget's Sexiest Beaches. So we get her moving out, and then we also get Kendra moving out. It shows Kendra talking to her mom and to her grandma, moving out and everything like that, kind of the realities of moving out, because Kendra moved into the mansion when she was 19 years old. Incredible to see how much Kendra has grown from season 1 to this conversation now. It is really incredible to see. I really, really loved that for her and love that moment for her on the TV show. So we also get Bridget talking about her new show that was on the Discovery. I think it was just on there for 1 season, but it had about 19 episodes, which is really cool. We also get Holly, who has been working for the magazine as an assistant photo editor. We have her leaving off to Vegas, and she is going there to help with a shoot. She hadn't had a night by herself at all. Like, she's had the nights with the other girls and everything. Like, they go to Aspen in the series, and they take that trip without Hef, so we get to see them like on their own. Her going off to Vegas to go do the photo shoot, the other 2 girls leaving. The original idea for the series was that Holly and Hef were gonna finally have the series where it's just them. Everyone has been so invested in their relationship, like all of America and all of the world has been invested in their relationship, and so it's kind of seemed like that Holly was going to finally get what she wanted, which she's talked about throughout the show. It's just a life of just with her and Hef. Kind of the episode on that kind of like hook of her just going to Vegas. There was some stuff that happened in Vegas where it really just pushed her over the edge, and she started to have some newfound independence, and she actually came back, and after a few months actually ended up leaving the mansion as well. That was never publicized on TV. She left, and then season 6 suddenly started with a whole new group of girls. They each had their own spin-off series. I believe Kendra has had multiple series. Holly did Holly's World, and then she ended up getting married and having a family. Kendra, her life kind of followed with her and Hank, and then them raising a family and what happened in their lives. And then Bridget, after her series, she kind of more focused on things that she loved about, like the paranormal. I know that I still love coming back to and rewatching. I think you can watch it on Tubi for free. I know they had it on Amazon Prime for a while also. I'll just check what other streaming services I'll put down below if this interests you to watch it. If you've watched the show before, or if you haven't, or if you found something interesting, just let me know down below. I link their podcast. Like I said down below, I've mentioned it like a bajillion times, but so much fun to listen to, even just getting background onto what it's like being on reality TV during the early 2000s. I think it's just so fascinating. Also, that was just such an interesting time of TV. There are a few other reality TV shows that I do want to do deep dives on during that time. Thank you again, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.